So if you're a professional wrestling fan like myself, you know that over the years, particularly in WWE, there's been a lot of creative sort of match concepts, I guess, or like types of matches that we've seen, not just from WWE, but different promotions. But I'm mainly talking about WWE. Some have stuck the landing, some are still present to this day. These match types that people enjoy really watching and everything else. A lot of them have stuck around, and others have kind of come and gone, or were like a one-off type stipulation or whatever for a particular match. But today I'm going to be looking at what I feel are my favorites, mostly from WWE. Like all of these are from WWE, but it's some of WWE's best like match types that I feel like have been the most entertaining over the years and keep me coming back and like give us something fresh every time that they do it. So without further delay, here are my top 5 most entertaining match types to watch in WWE. So first of all is actually like a fairly recent one that they brought back, and this match in particular I feel like is really entertaining every time it comes up, and that's the Open Challenges. We're seeing a resurgence of that with the United States Championship Open Challenge. That was something that was started by John Cena back during his last reign as U.S. champion a number of years ago, and it was recently brought back by Sami Zayn as United States champion, who then lost it during one of his Open Challenge matches to Ilya Dragunov, who is the current champion. I just think for Open Challenges, I think the thing about them that really makes them the most entertaining is that surprise factor. Because over the years when we have an Open Challenge match, it's either been used to bring back a superstar from an injury, so then we're like, well, who's it going to be? Who's this person? Who's going to face this person that's issuing the Open Challenge? The most recent example I can think of for an Open Challenge, other than these U.S. title ones, is the Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins match at WrestleMania 38. And we all know how good that match was, where Seth Rollins needed an opponent for WrestleMania, issued an Open Challenge, and they used that to bring Cody Rhodes back into WWE. And they had like what I feel like was a half an hour match. It was an instant classic as soon as they fought each other. They've also been used to elevate some other careers or sort of elevate other rivalries that are going on. Like, for example, when Carmelo Hayes tried to answer Sami Zayn's Open Challenge for the U.S. title, The Miz attacked him, and then vice versa. So, like, they kind of continued that feud between Carmelo Hayes and The Miz within the realm of the U.S. title Open Challenge. So I think the reason that it's so special of a match type, and I think it's one of the most entertaining match types they do, is just that, like I said, that surprise factor, and also just the matches that result out of it as well. Like every match we've seen for the U.S. title in these recent Open Challenges have been like 20-minute banger matches. Recently it was Nathan Frazier versus Ilya Dragunov in the last episode of SmackDown. That's like a match you wouldn't normally see in the context of like a storyline or something. And that's kind of one of the benefits as well of an Open Challenge, is that they can either kickstart a brand new rivalry or have a one-off match that kind of elevates another star into like almost the main event picture or something, or really puts that person on the map. They used it for some NXT competitors as well that have come up to the main roster just to face like John Cena when he was U.S. champion, or just to face Ilya Dragunov or Sami Zayn, so you kind of get a look at some of those NXT guys as well. So there's like so many different benefits to these Open Challenges, and I think that's what's like the most unique and entertaining thing about them, is that you never know who's going to come out, you never know what you're going to get, and it also kind of leaves us like trying to maybe predict who's going to come out. That can be some like wrestling content for YouTubers or something. Who's going to be the next one to answer the Open Challenge, who should answer the Open Challenge, etc. And not only that, it also gives us a match every week on SmackDown, at least this variation of the Open Challenge for the U.S. title. We get to see a match for a championship every single week. So, like, that's something to look forward to. That's kind of in the main description of the show, like, who will be next to answer the U.S. Open Challenge. It's kind of putting that title on the map, and I think they're doing a really good job with the Open Challenges. I hope that becomes a recurring thing for the U.S. title at least, so that we can continue to see these. I know that's not just like a match type that exists in WWE and that's it. Obviously there's been Open Challenges in AEW and that kind of stuff, but I think it has the same kind of benefits across the whole world of professional wrestling, well, with these open challenges. Next up are gauntlet matches. I always have fun watching these kind of matches. I think AEW has done some every now and then. Every company really has their own kind of variation on it. But I like WWE's the most. I don't know what it is about the booking or whatever, but I don't think they've ever had a bad gauntlet match. I can't remember really the most recent gauntlet match that they've done, but the one that comes to mind the most, for me at least, was the one that kind of elevated Kofi Kingston to the main event status. They had that one between the Elimination Chamber competitors. I believe it was to see who would come out last or whatever, who would get that sort of momentum going into the Elimination Chamber or something. They had the competitors all compete in a gauntlet match on SmackDown. And since Kofi Kingston was replacing Mustafa Ali, he kind of got his spot. And he was the Iron Man, basically, of that gauntlet match, was Kofi Kingston. He almost won the whole thing. So that's kind of a benefit right there. Like, you put on these almost hour-long gauntlet matches between several individual superstars competing against each other, and then that person, the winner, moves on to the next to face the next person, and they're worn out and everything. So you kind of get like different dynamics and everything too. Like, you get a weaker guy competing against a fresh guy coming out, but then the weaker guy might still win or whatever, or it can help build careers like it did with Kofi Kingston, like I mentioned. There was one they did on Raw a number of years ago too. I think they had like big names like Seth Rollins, John Cena, Roman Reigns, those kind of people that were, I think it was also in the Elimination Chamber, now that I think about it. They competed on an episode of Raw in a gauntlet match, and that match took up the whole first hour of the show. And Seth Rollins pretty much went from the beginning to the end. He was in it for at least 45 minutes, I believe, in this gauntlet match, competing against everyone else that was in it. So not only do you get just fun one-on-one matches between superstars, but also some of them are like 15, 20 minutes and stuff. You get to see those guys get worn out. You're basically getting to see 5 matches within the span of like 1 hour, even if they are like 10-minute matches or something. And it's between 6 or 7 superstars, depending on how many they do or whatever. I just think gauntlet matches are a lot of fun, and it's kind of a unique twist on sort of a tournament, I guess, where it all takes place in like one day. I'd like to personally see them do more gauntlet matches, I think, for whether it's for a championship or to name a number one contender or something. I just think the way, at least the WWE does it, is a lot of fun to watch. And speaking of the Elimination Chamber, that's what's next up on my list. I think that match, I can't remember exactly when it started. I don't think I've seen every Elimination Chamber match. I know there was a period where they kind of took it away and then they brought it back again. I think using the Elimination Chamber as the next bridge to get to WrestleMania, I think is better than what they've done over the years before, where it used to be 4 title matches. I like that they're using it as like a last chance sort of match to get people to WrestleMania. Like, for example, over the last couple of years, the Elimination Chamber has been used to name the number one contender to the other World Championship or the other Women's Championship that wasn't being challenged for by the Royal Rumble winners. And I kind of like that idea because it makes it seem like, even though this is a grueling match that they've put together and it's a bunch of cages and all that kind of stuff, it's a really daunting task of a match to try and win for these people, and it puts their bodies through so much, not just as wrestlers, but like just the person in general. Like, they come out of it with like injuries and stuff. There have been people talking about it and everything else, like how truly brutal of a match stipulation that it is, and they kind of hate competing in it. Kind of similar to like a Hell in a Cell or whatever. It's like one of those types of structures that are that's unforgiving, as they say. And so to use that as sort of a last ditch effort, like, well, now I have to go through, the Royal Rumble was hard enough, but I have to go through the most grueling structure in WWE history in order to make it to WrestleMania. It almost kind of adds to that desperation for all 6 people that are in the match, willing to sacrifice their own body and everything just for that one title shot at WrestleMania, just to get themselves still on the WrestleMania card. I think that's the best use of it, but over the years, there have been a lot of really entertaining Elimination Chamber matches. There's been a lot of like shocking moments from Elimination Chambers, like just recently, earlier this year actually, with Jade Cargill's return, and she attacked Naomi in that match. Jade Cargill wasn't in the match, but Naomi was. she came out and just beat her up, and that caused her elimination from the Elimination Chamber. Or the one where like John Cena went in as the champion and he was eliminated in the first like 2 minutes or something, and then it left like Edge and a bunch of other stars in there like completely shocked. Like, John Cena's not in this match now. There's been so many like classic, memorable moments just from the Elimination Chambers. And I like that they're keeping it around. It's been sticking around for the most part over every year since it was created. I know there were a couple years where they like got rid of it off the card or whatever, or they moved it to the summer for some reason. But thinking back, I don't think there's really been too many Elimination Chamber matches that weren't really that exciting. Like, maybe there were a couple that had like mid-carders in it or something. They've done different variations on it. There was the Extreme Elimination Chamber in ECW. They've had tag team ones. The women's tag team titles. The first women's tag team champions were crowned inside the chamber. So they used it for so many different things. And I think when you think back, every single Elimination Chamber match has some kind of memorable moment from it. And that's why I think it works so well. And also the surprise of like, well, who's coming out first, or who are the first 2 competitors that are competing? Who are the other 4 that are going to be locked in the pod? Like, you kind of try to guess that if they haven't already kind of revealed that or something through a match or whatever. Like, so when there's a champion in the match and then they have to start the match, it's like, oh, maybe we are going to crown a new champion. So there's like so many different twists and turns that they can make through the Elimination Chamber match that I think is what makes it a lot of fun. The next one I have is the Money in the Bank ladder match. I think the concept of a wrestler having a contract for a world title opportunity that they can cash in at any moment, at any time, in any city, at a pay-per-view, on a Raw or SmackDown, whatever. I think that's a really fun concept because we never know when it's going to happen. And we know over the years, it has been really surprising a lot of the times when someone cashes in their Money in the Bank contract because you're not even expecting it. Like, for example, most recently, Seth Rollins was the Money in the Bank winner, and he had an injury supposedly, but here he faked everybody out. He wasn't injured, and then he cashed it in on CM Punk to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. So like I said with the Elimination Chamber, there's so many memorable moments from Money in the Bank cash-ins over the years that you can make a whole list basically on all of the really good ones, because there's only been really a handful that weren't really that great, or the wrong winner was chosen and we never really believed that they'd be World Heavyweight Champion, from cashing that in and everything else. But I think what keeps it entertaining every single time is never knowing when it's going to happen or what champion it's going to happen on either. Like, they don't just have to cash in on the champion of their brand. They could show up on Raw, they could show up on SmackDown. Sometimes the Money in the Bank winner will show up multiple times trying to cash in and fail before they can cash it in, so then they come back, or they go away for a bit and then come back so that we forget about them. I think it works better with heels winning the Money in the Bank briefcase, but when a babyface does it and they can take it off this big heel that's been holding the title hostage, I think that also works too, because no matter which way you spin it, it's still an entertaining and fun concept that many other wrestling promotions don't really do, or they've tried to sort of mock the Money in the Bank briefcase and have like a match that's not a ladder match, but like they win a contract for a title shot kind of similarly to that. Like AEW has like a battle royal where they win a contract for a title shot in the future. So like other places have tried to copy WWE's Money in the Bank, but I don't think any of those really work as good, because WWE has just made it so perfect that I think it's always going to be entertaining no matter who wins the Money in the Bank. I mean, like I said, there have been some crappy ones, but I think lately they've knocked it out of the park in terms of who's winning it. They use it to elevate new stars, by like Damian Priest, for example, when he won the Money in the Bank. So like there's so much that they've done over the years with the Money in the Bank briefcase that maybe sometimes it can feel kind of stale, depending on how long somebody holds the briefcase or who it is in particular that's holding it. But I still think the concept overall is really fun. And I know for me, it keeps me coming back to watch Raw and SmackDown every week, because I don't want to miss like, ooh, is this where it's going to happen? Like if a champion is in a match on SmackDown and they get attacked afterwards, like, uh-oh, maybe that's where the Money in the Bank winner is going to come in, and then they don't, so it keeps you wondering, okay, well, when are they going to do it? Who are they going to do it on? You know, that kind of thing. It keeps me coming back, at least. I don't know about all of you, but that's one of those concepts that I personally can get behind and enjoy every single time that they do it. And finally, even though these weren't really in any particular order or anything like that, this one is probably the best out of all of them that I've mentioned so far. And that, of course, is the Royal Rumble match. I know that's my brother Clay's personal favorite type of match. He rewatches all the Royal Rumble matches and that kind of stuff on DVD just because they are so entertaining. Even when you watch them over and over again and you like memorize them and everything, it still lets you relive some of those iconic moments that have happened in some of those Royal Rumbles over the years. Whether it was the shocking winner or the shocking return or the setup of a new rivalry, and that kind of like what I said with Money in the Bank and Elimination Chamber. You know, there's so much stuff that can happen in the Royal Rumble match that I think is what makes it so entertaining, because when you watch the Royal Rumble, you never know what you're going to get. Who's going to come back if there was a return from injury or something? What number are they going to come back at? If they come back in an early number, does that kind of take away our prediction of, are they going to win the Royal Rumble? If they're out here in a later number, are they going to, maybe they will win the Royal Rumble when they, like, returning from injury. There's also shocking eliminations that occur, like a star that everyone predicted was going to win gets eliminated either early on or just close to the end of the match, and then you're like, uh-oh, now what? Who could it possibly be now? You know, I think everything about the Royal Rumble match is entertaining. Like, yeah, there have also been some boring Royal Rumble matches that have featured mostly like mid-carders and that kind of stuff that you pretty much know aren't going to win the match. But the things that stand out about it are your surprise, or are the surprises that occur. We've had people from NXT make an appearance in it. We've had returning stars make an appearance. People from other promotions have popped in every once in a while. Like there were a couple TNA people that showed up in a recent Royal Rumble a few years ago, you know, or even this year, you know. But also just the concept of the winner getting a world title opportunity at WrestleMania, I think is the best use of the Royal Rumble, because back in the day, they never used to do that. You know, they'd just win the Royal Rumble and that was that, or whatever. It was just to elevate somebody. So like using it to propel someone into the world title picture, I think is genius. I think it makes it work really well. That's what makes it even more surprising when somebody that you wouldn't expect to win wins it. And it's like, oh, now this person's getting a world title shot. Like Jey Uso this year, for example, I think everybody thought, well, John Cena's probably going to win the Royal Rumble because it's his last year. But then Jey Uso won and got his world title match at WrestleMania. No one was expecting Jey Uso to win. I don't think we really wanted that to happen either. But like they sprinkled in some of the stars that we thought could win, like CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. And they used their eliminations to bolster the rivalry between the three of them that would lead to their triple threat at WrestleMania. So there's always excitement in the Royal Rumble match. There's always shock, or that shock value and everything else in the Royal Rumble match. And the fact that there's always like 30 superstars too. So you have to sit through it for mostly about a half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever. But I just never really think that it's boring necessarily, because like even if I know 50% of the people that are in it, I get excited for who's the next entrant. And that's what keeps me coming back to watch the Royal Rumble matches. And that's why I think it's probably the most exciting match of the year that everyone looks forward to. And it's right at the start of the year. You know, it's the first big pay-per-view they have in January usually. To start the road to WrestleMania. There's a reason it starts with this Royal Rumble match. And the fact that they have two now, and they have one for the men and women, I think makes it even better and adds to all that excitement, because now we have two opportunities to see surprises and shocks and everything throughout the one single night that they're doing it for. Although now I think they're going to start doing the Royal Rumble over 2 nights, but even still, having 2 Royal Rumble matches within the span of 2 days or whatever, I think can just will always continue to be fun and exciting and everything else, and be everyone's favorite match of the year. But there you go, guys. Those were my picks for some of the most entertaining match types in WWE history. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Are there any that I missed that you maybe enjoy more than some of these other ones? And from the ones that I did mention, what are some of your most favorite, like, shocking moments or whatever that occurred in some of these types of matches that I mentioned. Let me know all that down in the comments section. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more, and check out all the other wrestling content I've done over the years on this channel as well. And keep an eye out for anything that I do in the future. Thank you for watching the video, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.